They say pick one lane, one career, one identity, one option, one version of yourself that the society can understand. But what happens when you don't? When you refuse? When you're not just one thing, rather you're everything. Today on The Experiment, I am talking to somebody who has built her life around being too much for the boxes that the society puts forward. Kamna Vyas. She trained as an interior designer, but that was just the starting point. With Niche by Kamna, she is today a wedding designer, a production curator, an art collaborator, a content strategist, and basically proof that you don't have to shrink yourself in order to succeed. She is somebody who has turned rebellion into her own brand. She has taught us in many ways that being multi-talented is not the same as being confused. Rather, it's pretty powerful. But before we jump into Kamna's story, let's get back to the origin just a little bit. Because every multi-potentialite has a backstory. And with Kamna, it starts by being the odd one out. So Kamna.
Hi.
Welcome to The Experiment.
Thank
How do you feel? How did you like the intro? How do you feel about that?
Oh, thank you so much for this wonderful intro. And thank you so much today having me here. And I'm good. I'm really excited to everything what we are going to talk about. So yeah.
Are you nervous just a little bit?
I think I am because I'm the one who always work behind the
Right.
scenes. So it's little, I'm nervous right
Today
now.
we have the artist on the couch with us and we're going to create art. I think for you this should be the simplest task. This is something that you do on a daily basis, you create.
I know, but I think it's always, now the role has switched. So when I'm like an art director and I'm telling, correct that frame, correct this frame, but now today I'm the one who is in the frame. So I think I'm a little nervous and I don't know, how it's going to turn out. And now I can understand how much pressure these actors and people have it while doing something on camera.
But you're somebody who has also been in front of the camera. That is why I think before we proceed, we need to get back into Kamna's backstory just a little bit, because I think all of our viewers will be so surprised to know that this woman never stops amazing me. At every other point, she's going to tell a fact about herself and you'll be like, wait, let's get into that. Wait, you did this, you also did this, you did that. And I think that sums you up. So I need to understand, because you have told me multiple times that you were the black sheep in your family. You were somebody who used to be a rebellious kid. So what was that like? How was it growing up for you?
So I think since I was young, because we are 3 siblings and I have always been around with the people and the community, okay. So I've always grown up with my neighbors, and then my dad always have pushed me to the, doing something into the creative. So I was always first one to participate in anything in school. I was always first one to participate in any kind of activity, whether it's a sports, whether it's a debate competition, whether it's a cultural event or something like that. And my childhood was like that. Like when I was young, I never had, like a friends in childhood. Like I never went out and play with the friends and things like that, because when I was young, I remember my first film was Dhabkar, and my dad used to be into the Gujarati production house that time, and in Dhabkar they wanted a 6-month-old girl, like new baby born, for that one of the role, and I was just 6 months old, and they chose me on that thing. So my dad has still, saved that envelope of my first earning when I was only 6 months old, and I did that film. After that, my dad really, thought that I can be, part of this industry. So then I worked for 5 years into one of the serial called Sat Tadi in Gujarati. It was a Gujarati serial. And so my routine was like, you wake up early in the morning, I will finish my homework and everything. At 11, I go to school. By 5, my dad will be always there with his scooter and my bag. And then I have to go to the, gymkhana. So the Gala Gymkhana, there they used to practice and there are shoots were happening. So my dad will take me there. There's a lady who will change my uniform to put me into the dress which I have to shoot for. Then they will practice me my script and everything, and then they will feed me some food and some snacks, and then by 10 o'clock I come home. So that was my
How
childhood.
old were you? How old were you when all of this was happening?
I think I'm doing it since I was first grade. So I did it till first to fourth grade. So it was almost 4-5 years I did this.
Wow. That you've been hustling since you were a kid. No wonder I'm not surprised that you're so active today.
I think that's what always made me curious and to do things, do multiple things at a time actually, I would say.
You're like a butterfly.
Yeah, I don't like to, do one thing, and if someone tells me, okay, you only have to do this thing, I don't think I'm that person who can do that. So since I was young, so I enjoy that part, and then I started getting into the dance side by side. So I love dancing actually.
So do I. I
Wow.
think that's why we're on the couch today.
That's great. I think dancing is something which sets you free.
It liberates you.
And it brings out all the emotions, I feel.
100%.
For me, my free time, it's something where I would be dancing in my room or something like that.
Free time you've mentioned. Do you know that phrase? Are you familiar with something called free time?
Well, I don't know when I have free time, but in between my entire hustle, in between my entire thing, I find out that time to do something.
But what I'm understanding is that this rebelliousness today, it has not come out from a place of anger or, from a place of you being like, okay, I don't want to do this. It has been nurtured into you to, make these unconventional choices, which in traditional Indian families, they would want doctors, they would want CAs, engineers. These are the usual choices that parents make for their children to have like a stable future. So what was your family's reaction when you sort of decided that, okay, I am going to be doing something that you all have probably not heard of before, but I'm going to get into the creative zone, I'm being an artist. What is your profession? I'm an artist. What was your family's reaction to that?
So I would say that for that, like I never decided at the young age that I am going to be an artist. Okay, like it actually came through while how the things have unwrapped during this entire journey. But when I was young, I was into acting and I was into a lot of these activities where I always wanted to be in films, I always wanted to be an actress, and hence I did modeling class and everything, I did it. And then when it actually the time came, which is my 9th and 10th grade, and I always I was always a topper. So during that time I always wanted to choose my study over any other field. So that time my dad gave me two choices, whether you want to pursue acting and everything or whether you want to get into any of the field like science, commerce and arts. And I say like, oh, no, I want to study and maybe later in the years I will figure it out if I really want to do acting and all. So then, because during this entire period of time from my first grade to the 10th grade, I've been part of lot of auditions of like Dance India Dance, and then this Aaj Ka Star competition where they actually teach you modeling and you be part of all the acting schools and everything. So I have done a lot of theatres and drama and everything during that period of time. And then in 10th grade, when I decided I will be an aeronautical engineer. I don't know where that come from, but since my parents are very innocent parents and they are not that well educated, but they always wanted us to do something. So it's only two choices: either you take biology, you become a doctor; either you take mathematics, you go into the engineering field. And I said like, yeah, I will become an engineer. I want to fly, and I will do aeronautical engineer. I don't want to stay here. So that was my first instinct was that, yeah. And but then I think life has a different turn, and then I had different experience where I learned about that, okay, there is something called creativity. There is something, because in my entire family, no one is in this creative background. My dad is into politics. He used to be into politics. My mom is a housewife. So my sister is a doctor. She is a dietitian. And my brother, he's into IT. So I think I'm the odd one out.
Yeah, you really are. I think that's where we started talking. But this label of being the odd one out, or being the black sheep of your family, I feel like people struggle with it sometimes. They don't own it as much as you do today. Like, you're proud about it. You're sitting here in front of the camera saying, yeah, I was always a very different kid and I figured my way out. 10th तक नहीं पता था, शायद 10th के बाद पता चल गया. But overall, you've been figuring yourself out and you still are. But were you always with this narrative, या कभी शायद बुरा लगता था, या कभी कहीं ये लगता था कि why am I not able to decide like other people are? Because for me, I think it's still that. I am still a student and I'm still trying to figure out. अब तो मतलब I am in my phase of my masters and I'm still like, अगर कोई मुझसे पूछे what do you want to do? I don't know.
I think, you know what, it's with me. I always believed in like destiny, okay, that how things will come to me and I will get into. It's like I'm like a river, like I will flow with things what are getting, what is there, and how things are, unwrapping during this journey. So what happens for me is that I never put up a label of like, that I'll be the odd one out. But anyway, the people have started calling me that okay, khabar nahi, tare ama kem jawu chhe, like your typical parents were like questioning you and things like that. So during that entire period of time, my biggest turning point where I realized that I want to get into the creative, where actually I went on exchange program.
Wow.
Yes. And I spent my 15 months in unknown country with unknown family, which are like my family right now. But during that entire journey, I think that 15 months are my life changing months. And today, whatever I am, it's of course because of my real biological family, of course, they are there. But also, the huge contribution is from my American family. And today, I think I'm very, very blessed, I would say, that I have this both the family with me side by side and supporting me for whatever I do. But this designer dream, this to be creative, is come like it's came from that entire my US journey.
I need to stop you in this moment because I need to understand how you switched from being an aeronautical engineer to telling me that in your 10th grade you have moved to a foreign country with your foreign family who has adopted you in ways who you are more than grateful for, and they have somehow converted you into a creative director who is going to be a wedding designer, an art curator, just a complete switch. Please tell me more about how it was for you moving out of India, I think.
So basically, in my entire family, even my dad's side's family, even my great grandfather, anybody, I think nobody had ever been out of India. Okay, so when I was 15-year-old, when I was in my 10th grade, that time I one of the English teacher, and you have like school, you are like doing, and I was like monitor, so always that little bit chunt person.
बात करी तो board पे नाम लिख
Yeah,
दूंगी.
exactly. So I was like that. So not everyone was like my good friend, but yeah, it's okay. Then I always like to be, even either I have to get 1, 2 or 3, the first 3 rank in anything what I do, like not than that. So I was always, since young age, I was always been very competitive with whatever, but I was very, that also that I want to be part of everything, whether I win or lose, but I want to be there.
You've always been courageous. I think.
Yeah, kind of that. So this one day, my teacher is telling to one of the other teacher that her daughter is going to USA and for blah blah blah, and then I overheard that conversation, and then I asked my teacher after the class like, "Ma'am, which is this program? Can I also apply and this and that?" And my ma'am told me that no, only English medium people can go, so I'm going to introduce this to the English medium, and I was like, okay, fine, like, and that somewhere bothered me so much. So I went home, I kept thinking about it, that what was this, like, then I came back next day, then she your teacher asks you to stand up and read a paragraph, So I did that. And then she said, like, see, Kamna, you cannot even talk to in English. You are from Gujarati medium. How you will go to abroad and live in USA? And that had, like, literally hurt me. That had, like, pushed me down.
No,
Like,
I would have cried. I would have cried.
and crushed my
Let me find this
confidence.
teacher outside. You tell me who this teacher is, I'll tell her.
So then I went home and I asked my teacher, like, you tell me the website. I don't want to apply. You tell me the website. I will go. And then during that time, there was no computer at home. So we used to have this cyber cafe and things like that. So I asked my older sister that, can you please help me? Because I was anywhere. I accepted that time I was really poor at English because I was from Gujarati medium. I did not had that exposure to, learn English and everything. So in 10th grade, my sister helped me to fill out the form, and actually it's a 10 months process to get selected for the free scholarship program where Barack Obama will actually sponsor your entire trip. So it's the program called AFS. It's called American Field Services, and under that they actually send students between 15 to 17-year old to abroad to experience different culture and to actually make them aware about your Indian culture also. So that's why it's called cultural exchange program, because 15 to 17 years old is the age where you are very easily molded, like where you can because that is the age where you are soon going to be a teenager, like 18, and then you can build up the opinion for people. You are more adaptable during that age.
Yeah,
where
you're
you can-
impressionable overall.
Yes. So I think that is the age where they send you outside, so you are flexible to get into whatever environment you get and you can be aware of the world. And I think in my entire family, nobody had ever gone out, and I decided that I don't know when my father is gonna send me out of India. So, and you're coming from, like, middle class family and things like that. So I told my parents I want to do that, and my dad was like, no, because this back in 2010, that time, your parents will think, nah, tane ત્યાં જઈને વેચી નાખશે. Because your parents are not used to with Facebook. It was like very little access to the Facebook and everything, and that was also too much because you have to go to cyber cafe to access those all things. Like hardly people have those touch screen phone and things like that.
मुझे तो 8 बजे के बाद खेलने भी नहीं देते थे.
Same. So, like in my house, because my dad was probably, they are very, that time, my parents used to be very conservative. They did not had exposure to the world. So, typical Orthodox family that girls have to be home at 6 p.m. Though my dad only allowed me to do that production thing and art thing because he was part of that thing. Otherwise, like, we were not allowed to go outside alone after 6 p.m. and things like that. So that time I really fought with my parents that I really want to go to US. I want to apply for this. My dad denied to sign on the forms and everything.
Oh God.
But finally I got selected and I went to USA, and that something has changed my life. And so it was a culture exchange program where another 25 countries, different students were there, where we had to, and once you go there, actually they give you that time your family address, your school, which school you're gonna go, and which city you're gonna be hosted. So till the moment, so my first flight in my entire life was from Delhi to USA, which was like around 18 hours flight. That was like my first flight I ever taken with the other students were there. But luckily in entire India there was 30 students got selected. There were only
The whole country only 30 was selected.
yeah. And then there were only 10 students who got this free scholarship. This is where I don't have to pay a single penny. I will go there, I will stay there for 15, 17 months and then I come back. And when I reached to Washington DC, where they actually train you and everything, I think that's where my learnings from, accepting different things, learning to, get going with everybody, because people tell me that, I'm people's person. I'm always there for anybody. Like if anyone new is with me, they will not feel uncomfortable. They will be always, be with me, and I'm easygoing. I can easily talk to someone, so people can feel comfortable with me.
Right.
So during that time also, like, they put you with the different country students in the room. Now I had one from Japan and one from somewhere from the Indonesia. Now they are also like me, 15, 16-year-old girls, okay? Now we have to, for 3 days, because we were 10 days in Washington DC, where they actually train you about American family system, three magic words, thank you, please, and sorry, because you are young.
I
like,
was going to say I love you.
no, it's like three words which can fix you, which is thank you, please, and sorry in
मुझे
USA.
घर जाने दो. I think for me it's that.
So that time, I think that was one of the bestest time I had, and we had to talk in sign languages because we three are like very innocent, and in my entire childhood, I had never stayed one night out without my parents.
Same, yeah.
This was the first time at 15-year-old I decided to go out, and my parents were scared. They are super scared that what gonna happen, because I was not allowed to take phone, I was not allowed to take laptop, nothing. They will inform my parents everything through email. So I was allowed to only take 19 kg bag with no food items, only my some clothes, some basic items and things, and some gifts for my American family who I'm gonna meet.
What do you mean? You didn't take thepla and all when you...
Nothing.
What is
nothing.
this?
We were not
What is
allowed.
this? No khakra?
Nothing.
No athanu?
No,
Oh
because
God.
that is, they really wanted us to adapt the culture and introduce our culture to them. And I think these things also teach you a lot about your own culture, I would say.
Yeah, the things that you miss.
Yeah.
Honestly, when you go... So, I'll tell you a very small story about this because we're moving on to the next segment, which is related to how difficult it must have been for you to adapt to everything there, being 15 to 17-year-old. Similarly, I have one of my friends living outside of India, and it was a very short trip. It was just out of nowhere, and I had a long vacation, and it just happened. So first of all, I was very surprised that my parents are letting me do this because hello, you're crazy if you're sending me out. But anyways, it happened, and I went, and we're in this huge mall, and me and my friend were both there. I go to the washroom, and I'm trying to figure out how the tap works. I think this is a very underrated problem that you have when you go out to a foreign country.
Yeah, very true.
I'm just there trying to figure out all ways possible to wash my hands, and I am freaking out because I know English, there's nobody to talk to. I know what I want to do and I somehow can't do it being a 15, 16-year-old, so I'm feeling completely helpless and I feel very small. I just feel very small that I am in a completely different country, different continent, and here the simplest task, like trying to understand how to wash my hand here in this mall, is feeling like a mountain. It is making me feel small, it is making me feel insignificant, helpless. And that's just one anecdote of me being with my friend in a completely planned trip with my phone, with being proficient in English. I cannot even imagine how it must have been for you.
Yeah, it was difficult, I would say.
100%. I need to know more about that.
In the starting, same, like the tap thing happened to me when I went to first take shower. Like I was not able to figure out how this shower work. Okay, now we both are in the room. All of three don't know each other's language. Now we have 3 days communicating in sign language because that's what you can do. Like we just talk like something like that. We talk like that because you living with someone in the room, right? And I think that day, and then entire 10 days they train you, and then they gave me my tickets that okay, you're going to Wisconsin. In Wisconsin there is this state called Oshkosh where you are hosted, and so when I got my family, no, you are just 15, 16-year-old. And that was like, till then I had a lot of people from India, a lot of people from other countries, but now from that point you're gonna be on your own to the next trip, okay, where I'm gonna go to meet my family. Now being a 15, 16-year-old and you don't have much knowledge of the world, and this was my first time being out alone, a lot of people have told you a lot of things that okay, people are like this, people are like that, you be careful, don't be so this and that. So, and I don't have phone also, and that time I don't think I was that smart enough to make the use of phone or something like that. It was not allowed only. So they give you card, emergency card, that you are part of American Field Service program, and if you get stuck anywhere, you can show this card to anyone and they will help you within 24 hours. And so that was the deal. When I got my first family name in my hand, when I got my tickets, I was nervous. That 5 hours wait at the airport had literally made me think so many things, that okay, what will my family, whether they white, whether they black, or what religion they would be from, what if they eat non-veg, will I be able to settle in the house, what if they have dogs, because I never stayed with the dogs, and what if, there's so many if and buts are there. And then when I was not able to understand the language because the accent is an issue. Being a 16-year-old, I was not able to understand the announcement at the airport. And that is the time where I was to I knew I was like sitting in front of the screen, and I was just locating my flight, that okay, and I don't have phone, so they said ki, okay, your family will be there holding your name. So you are so nervous, and there are so many questions in your head that, oh, my family will be there, what if they are not there, what will I do, how will I reach home, I don't know this country. And I was hosted in this very village side, so it's like a countryside, I would say. So when you go from Ahmedabad, which is so happening, where it's a big city, and then you go to this small town, where you are living into the countryside, it's completely different. There, I had gone through entire roller coaster of emotion that time. If I wanted to cry, I don't know how to cry, because what if people are gonna see me as a weak, because you have to hold yourself together. And when I reached there, I think my family was standing there with the cheese necklace and cheese hat, because Wisconsin is all about cheese. And oh my goodness, that is the moment. I think I cannot wash it away from my eyes. And they were there, like it's a so huge family. They have 10 kids, 9 kids, and I'm the 10th one. So I still say 10 kids. And my mom dad were there, host parents. I still call them my mom dad. And they were there standing with my name, Kamna, and such a loud family, like extremely loud. And I felt just right that okay, I'm meant for this family.
Oh my god.
Because I'm the loud person, and my parents have taught me that when you go there, don't laugh out loud, don't talk too much.
ऐसे मत बैठना,
don't do
ऐसे
that.
मत करना.
Yeah, exactly. And when I met this family, I thought, oh, this is something from, heaven have sent it to me. So it is that.
Since you walked me through the journey of what it was for you to, be a part of this adoptive family in the USA, my next question to you is, what were some differences that you were able to realize through that excursion of 15 months कि मेरे biological parents का ये point of view है and मेरे adoptive parents का ये point of view है, and I think those differences are the ones that have shaped you to finally choose the career that you have. So please tell me about that.
So I think when I reached there, and when I met this family, so in India, like I have 3 siblings and very small family, nuclear family kind of a thing. But when I went there, it's a huge family and such a loving people and everything. So during that time, I think, so in India, if I have to do anything, like smallest thing, or if I want to go out, I want to do, you have to inform your parents, you have to take permission that can I go on the school picnic, can I buy this dress, can I do this dress, can I do this activity, and things like that. When I went to USA, it was all on me. So the choices were given to me, the things were on me, how I should take it, things, how I should choose my own things. So to make your own choices, because today when someone tell me, or when someone asks me that don't you get tired of this thing, so I think this is the learning is with me, that you made that choice at the end, so you should not be complaining about it. Like you had decided it, now you made the decision, now it's your choice, because whatever you are getting into the life, and whatever you are doing today, and whatever will be the result of the outcome of whatever actions you have taken, it is all at the end your choice. You made that choice. Like if I have never decided to go to USA at 15-year-old age, I think today I won't be the person who I am today right now. So I think that is very important. So in US, when I was there, like when I first semester, I took all the aeronautic, because I wanted to become an aeronautical engineer. My family, so they actually read our essays. They have not any access to our pictures. the first time they see is like physically they see us. So when I went there, they knew that I always wanted to become an aeronautical engineer. So they gave me a trip to the NASA. So I went to NASA for 10 days and I spent some time there to learn about everything. And then I came back, then I took the astronomy subjects in my school. But because of the language barrier, because suddenly the shift between completely from Gujarati to the English medium, it was so huge that I did not perform well during those time. And that time I decided that my college is also like my school was also offering design subjects like architecture, graphic designing, animation designing, and those all. And that was the point where I decided I want to take all the design subject because I was always inclined towards art. So then I became part of the art group there in US. Then my mom asked me if I want to become a part of the dance school. Then I became dance. So I'm professionally trained in jazz, ballet, and hip hop, and I did entire course for 3 years. And then when I went to US, I continued that also. So I think that the only thing is that here your parents always tell you that time because you are not that mature and things like that. They tell you to do this thing, do that thing, do this way, do that way. Where in the US, I think my parents have always asked me what I want to do, what is my first choice, what is my preference. So I think that was very important, and that's where I decided that when suddenly I scored really good, like all the A's in my all the design subjects, and that's the idea spark that no, this is what I want to do. When I go back, I want to be into the architecture school or design schools. So when I came back, even after those 15 months, the huge shift, because I was in my 11th grade when I went to USA, and then when I came back after 15 months, a lot has changed. My friends, they were moved to college. I instead I have to go to school with the young people, and then I have to again do, because if you have taken science, then you're all based like formulas and everything depends on your 12th books, right? And now this 15 months gap had given me such a beautiful life that I forgot what I've studied in life. So when I came back, it was so difficult. I cried. I used to cry that I don't want to go to school because, people see me as a different person. And of course, during that time, a lot has changed in me. Like I used to be very opinionated, and then people was not accepting me. And that time, I felt a lot of different emotions, and because I was still young. Like, come on, I'm just 16-year old. And so during, I think that was the time where I came back. I did that. I told my parents either I want to study in some international university or I want to go to such university where they accept me or something like that. So that time I did not know what I wanted to do, which university, because I myself had never come this side of the city from Shahibag. So it was so difficult that I don't know this side of the city, the other side of the river, what is there. So that time I knew that is a CEPT is an international university. They have this exposure. It's a architecture and design university. I only applied in that university, and I got selected. So that's where and my dad was really against. So before the for architecture interior you have to give NATA exam, and for that you have to do the classes and everything. Where my dad denied that I will not allow you to do that. I wanted to join politics, so I wanted to do BSc and then give IS exam and things like that. But I never wanted to do that. So I told them that I cannot be that person. So you whatever you want to do, you do it. I want to do this, and I literally fought for it that I really want to be in the design school. He was not agree for the longest time. He did not pay for my classes where I really wanted to learn. So I learned everything online. I used to go to cyber cafes and learn about the designs for NATA exams and everything. And then I only applied in CEPT because I don't know what I was thinking. But that time it was like, only 40 seats all around the India. And there is a general quota and things like that. So in that time, somehow the stars aligned, and my rank was 38. And
Yeah, I don't think it was the stars aligning. It was you putting in the effort working hard, achieving your dream, eventually you all through this story what I'm realizing is that you brought a lot of courage back from the US.
I think so, yes.
The beliefs that you brought back when we were talking about it, you said that you'd become opinionated, and I think that's what is beautiful about the fact that a 15-year-old girl could go to the US being, timid, being scared, क्या होगा, कैसे होगा, पता नहीं, but then coming back and be like, मैं बताती हूँ कैसे होगा, इधर बैठ मैं बताती हूँ तेरे को कैसे होने वाला है.
And I think that's the shift where my parents have also, somehow felt confident in me that now they don't have to worry about me for the world. Because if I could go out and stay 15 months in unknown family and make them my family, then I think they are not now scared. If I tell them tomorrow I'm going this place, they are fine. They know I will figure it out. They know, like, and so yeah, the journey I've been, I told you, like, it was everything was on destiny. And even for my SEPT admission, you will not believe that I did not know if I will get selected there. So I had my married name, it was my interview was there, everything was settled. But that time I was selected by US government to perform in Pakistan for the Indian exchange thing.
You keep on telling me these crazy stories. I don't think we can make one episode out of the stories that you're telling me. This is what I was saying when I said that she will just randomly say things which make you realize, wait, what?
So I think, these are the stories I think nobody knows. Because now this part of Kamna, which is out there in the world, who is like really hardworking, running niche, but nobody knows about these stories, like how this journey has
Why you are
shaped
the way
me.
that you are.
I
That
think
is
this
why.
is the reason.
That
Yeah.
is why.
This is the reason. So I wanted to go to Pakistan and like, come on, I was not even 18. It was 3 months left to me to turn 18, and US government have selected me to be a part of this another cultural organization meeting which was happening in Pakistan. So that time, so after this finishing this program, you get the certificate signed from Barack Obama, which says you are the Indian ambassador for the US Embassy for this culture exchange program. So during that time, I hold that tag for a few years, and then because you actually help people to understand about the diverse culture, some of the misunderstanding people have between different culture. So that bridge was us, like that time. Like me, whoever the other students were selected, and when I decided to go to Pakistan, my entire family freaked out. Like they don't want to go because what if 17-year-old girl is telling you she will go alone to Pakistan? How? And that time, that is the exact date. The next day was my SEPT interview. Now that day, I had given interviews in my like lot of radio channel had published this. I still have the article. It was all over in the newspaper. The Aaj Tak has taken my interview and everything was there. And that time, being a 17-year-old, still you are naive, okay? And when you get so much limelight, you always feel on cloud nine.
Yeah.
So that time I was like, wow, I used to love this limelight and everything. Like, wow, I'm gonna go there. There's this article, and then they had also fixed like, I was going to be there for 20 days, and then I'm gonna come back after 20 days. So they have already taken my dates that when you come back, we want to take this interview, and then there's a huge headline next day in the newspaper that a Gujaratni chokri Pakistan jaine cultural represent karwani che, and there's so like it was so much gaga about it. Okay, now being a 17-year-old, when you get so much attention, you kind of get carried away with that entire thing. So I went to SEPT and I asked them, can you take my 1 day prior interview? And they said like, no, we have 1200 people waiting behind you, so you can choose your own lane and it's okay. And that's why I was telling you that I believe in destiny, because that day, so you cannot fly directly from here to Karachi. I had to go from Dubai to Karachi. We reached Dubai and there was some problem with our visa and there were some issues at Karachi airport, that conference got cancelled. So now we cannot go and fly to Karachi. So Dubai, and that time I was not even 18-year-old. So during that 3 hours flight, I don't know what happened in Karachi. They asked our parents that what do you want to do with your kids? Do you still want to send them or do you want to send them back home? And my dad said, no, now I have allowed her this much, but now I don't want her to go ahead. I want her to come back. Now, the moment I came back home, I literally did tandav in my house that what is this? I wanted to go this that, and I was more worried about what will tell to media that I got selected, and I was like, and then suddenly so I came back in the morning, like same flight they sent us back 4 o'clock in the morning. I was home. I went out to room and I slept and I was crying and crying and crying, and I was telling my dad, I don't know when you will allow me to go to Pakistan. I want to go. I wanted to go. So now my passport officially has the visa of Pakistan. So that get questioned everywhere I travel in the world.
Oh God.
And that's the badge I have now. But I think Islamabad is very beautiful that I was going, and I think it's really pretty, and it's still in my goal list that I really will want to go one day there. It's very pretty. But anyway, so that way I came back, and that day was my interview. So at 2 o'clock in the and then I'm telling you that I'm really blessed that I have these signs and these people in my life that on that afternoon, my sister's friend who studied in SEPT, he called me because he saw my name on the merit list. He called me to say all the best. He said like all the best, it's your interview today, and I hope everything blah blah. Blah. And that was I realized that okay, Kamna, your this plan did not work out. I think your next plan is this, and I think you should go.
Because that's your adaptability.
Yeah, I think so. So then I decided to go and give the SEPT interview, and I got selected. So that's how I ended up being in SEPT then. And I pursue my design journey from there to till date. I am doing it.
Now, as a proof of your adaptability, I want to move on to the next segment, which is a game.
Okay.
And it's called Out of the Box. So I'm going to give you a few ideas which I find a little crazy, and you as the creative director, this creative space that you carry along with you, I need to know your opinion about it. So my first one is, how would a Gen Z mandap be like in 2040?
2040. I think in 2040, Gen Zs would not want to get married in like this fancy wedding. They want to save money and they want to spend money on themselves. I think it will be online wedding. So they will be creating their. I think they will be creating their own pictures of weddings online and everything. So because right now anyway people are getting tired of spending so much money into the wedding mandap. But I think it's my business and I love creating it. So I think it will be more minimal and more like with the family and everything, because I think slowly people are realizing the value of family. Though they are getting nuclear, but they are realizing the value of family.
The next one is a wedding with zero flowers.
Oh, I generally don't use a lot of flowers.
Really?
But yeah, I do not use a lot of flowers in my wedding. But I think that would be a little disaster because flower without wedding is nothing. So yeah.
The next one is a bedroom for somebody who hates sleeping.
Do you want me to imagine what will be?
Yeah, what would it be like if you were to design something like that?
See, I'm the person who hates sleeping.
Really?
Yeah, the two things I really hate is sleeping and eating, because I think that takes my lot of time and I need 40 hours a day, 48 hours a day, I would say. So I hate that two activity, because sometimes I think, why do I have to sleep? But then of course you have to give rest to your body, this and that. So I think that would be like, I would say it will be very collapsible thing where, ready to make and shift kind of a thing. Or you have to
Something
live in
that
a
goes up in the wall or something
Yeah.
like that. The next one is a workspace for somebody who changes careers every 2 years. I think this one is appropriate for you.
Yeah, I think one should never workplace. There should be never be a workplace for you, because you cannot have for person like me. I am not for a office kind of an environment. I don't think I can work, because every time when I go out, whatever I do, it's always constant sights, constant different studios, different scenery we get where we have to imagine things.
Right.
It is never depend on books or computer and things like that. Those all come secondary, but first is always the canvas we get naturally, which is the outside properties.
So
or
you would
sites
probably
and
set up like an outdoor workstation?
yeah, I
you?
would say like a person like me would always want to travel and work. Kind of like I would never want one place. I think I want to change my place every month. Every month I want to work from different corner of the world.
And the last one is a museum of failure. So what would the centerpiece be?
Museum of failure. Wow, these are very tough questions. And museum of failure. I think I don't know what it would be, but I don't know. I don't have an answer for this museum of failure because I think failure is all about learning. So I think when someone asks me about the failure, I would say I would really want to go and flashback and relive all the moments where what I have done because of course there are failures and I've learned from it. So I think there should be it's always related to you only. It's within you somewhere. Your failures are always pushing you to do something more.
But I think what you've just said is a very accurate description of who you are because you don't view failures as failures. You
Yeah.
only view them as learning. So if I asked you what would be the centerpiece, you'd just be like, I don't know. Because I don't think you experience failure the same way as a lot of other people do. So Kamna, what I've loved about your journey so far is that you've never put yourself in one single box. And we just talked about how you've always dabbled into your intuition and overall the destiny, and it has put you in this space where you are today. But what I'd like to bring in for contrast is that your industry right now is very male dominated. And there are times that I see a lot of my counterparts being called ambitious when they want to try 10 things, whereas if I am ever on the table offering the same idea, somebody might reject mine saying, okay, you're all over the place, make up your mind first, choose one lane, then come to us, you can't try out 10 things. And I'm sure in a field like yours where creativity has to be bounded in some ways for execution, what is it like to, be called too much in ways?
I think that is the thing I have always heard from people that oh, choose one of the career or choose one of the thing. But with me is that I want to do everything. Why why do I have to do only one thing when maybe I'm meant for everything? And I think that comes from my childhood because when I'm already switching between these two families and when I'm already living parallelly with these two different world and they have never asked me to choose one, then why do I have to choose one in my career? Okay, and these all things are actually connected with each other where either you say niche weddings or niche experience or niche art and production, niche ink and ideas, project niche, these all are actually depends on all about the creative collaborations, all about the creativity, the somewhere maybe I'm designing the sets, so somewhere I'm maybe designing the set for the wedding, so somewhere I'm designing someone's house. It is all within the spaces like which I create an experience for them. So I think that is where I know a lot of people have this thing. They also feel very difficult when they have to introduce myself that what we should introduce, what do you do, and I say like I create an experiences for people, whether it's a wedding, whether it's a space, whether it's anything or everything. So if it's too much for you, then it's
Go
not my
find less.
problem.
I
Yeah,
think
go and find less, but I think it's not my problem. I think you see, I always believe in you have only one life. You give your all in because you're not gonna get second life to do everything. And to be honest, I tell you, to pursue a creative career is so difficult because you getting that privilege today that I have a privilege that at least I am doing what I love to do, not like other people who maybe somewhere their conditions are there or maybe somewhere they have to do something for their family and they choose the career where they really don't like their jobs. But I feel that no, I'm very happy that I'm doing things which I really want to do, which I really love. So that's why I never feel tired.
do you think in your industry it is difficult for a woman to survive?
Absolutely. I would say that's why I think people call me rude, people call me very bossy, people call me, oh, you have an attitude, but I'm fine. I'm fine. I carry those all tags very positively because, to be honest, in this industry, you work with so many men. So there are 100 men, there is one woman. And if you're working there, that you have to actually to get your things you know heard by them or to make the statement that this is what I want, and I'm the person like that's why I think people have difficulty to work with me, that when I say I want this, but I want this. There is no if buts. If you can't do it, I by myself start doing it. Like I think that's why I love my work, and that's why the client chooses me. It's not me who chooses the client. I think client chooses me because they know what I bring onto the table, and a lot of people actually hates me for that, and I'm fine because I know how much efforts I've put to reach somewhere. I know how much time and efforts I give to put some work out there in the world, and when I give all in. And I think somewhere it's not about like day and night. Then it's not about somebody tell me that okay, you get married now, this is the age and this.
Settle.
Yeah, settle. What
Please
is
get
settle?
settled.
Yeah, I think I'm very much settled right now. I'm very happy right now that I am getting to do so many things. I'm getting to travel the world. I'm getting to stay with my family, and they all are happy with it. And I don't think now, I think we all have been. I love family. I also want to get settled someday, but not like there's no right age for it. I would say your time will be there, and I think I will have someone who will be waiting for me to be at the right place, and I will meet him, and I will find someone. But today, if I am here, I'm still settled, and I'm happily settled with my work, with my family, with the all the things I do. So I think I'm very happy with that.
To me, the timing of your work is also very interesting because as we just walked through your journey of the amount of effort that you put in creating, I feel like our surroundings are also adapting to it. I feel like city as Ahmedabad is also now giving back to the effort that you were putting in initially. It is sort of evolving to take in art, and Ahmedabad as a city is becoming happening. There's so many events that are happening around here. The people are adapting. What do you overall feel about this switch that our city is seeing?
So I think right now I'm really glad that Ahmedabad has become more experimental city, I would say. So because I think people are ready to experiment, people are ready to adapt new thing, people are ready to explore new things. So I think, and this all falls under the creating an experiences. This all falls under like providing something new to the audience, to serving something new. Because other than that, we have like just cafes, but now the cafes, the places, all the happening things are happening there. Like we have coffee clubs going on, and people are believing in creating an experience, and that's I always wanted to do. Like that is something I always thought of. That is something since when I pursue this career into designing. First I started with creating an experience for the houses to cafes to offices, to now anything and everything.
And that is what the Gen Z is valuing today. In my opinion, Gen Z's value experiences more than anything else. But there's one more thing that they really care about is the aesthetics of it. How Instagrammable does it look? Do you feel that sometimes when you meet a client like that, where they're like, अच्छा हमको ये भी चाहिए, but इसको भाव में भी कर दो और इसको अच्छा भी दिखना चाहिए, and उनका पूरा focus ये होता है that it should look good, no matter whether it might not be functional also, but they want it to look good. Do you feel that conflict more with the Gen Zs that you deal with?
I think it's not conflict because I really don't entertain that kind of a project, to be honest. But I'm glad because when I take any project, I'm never running behind thousands of projects together. I know what I'm taking on my plate. Of course, my plate is always full, but what I am doing in terms of my work, why people are hiring me, it is very emotional thing for me. The wedding, any experience, I really want to experience that thing, being first myself, putting that into their world, and then want to live that thing. So I think when it comes to any kind of work, and when we talk about the aesthetics, and when we talk about Instagram things, but I think okay, those are there, but what do you actually feel in that moment there? Like will I be able to convince them that this is their life special moment there, whatever they are feeling? I think for me that is more important, and those gesture doesn't come out on camera, which is okay. I don't have to do a gaga about it, but I know at the end of the day what my client feels about me, what values I'm taking away from them or what values they have about my work. So, I always tell people that, every people say that everything is fair in love and war. I always say that everything is fair in love and work, because I think when it's your work, you put all in, no matter, that is, no excuses are there, because your work will always gonna stay with you, because that is your identity.
Do you feel that if people did not have phones at their weddings, which a lot of celebrities are doing these days, does that help them live more in the moment? Is that true?
I think, yeah, it is very true, and I think that is the reason, also a lot of celebrities have very minimal weddings, and that's what I really believe in, that it's not about too much, it's always about to be with your special ones, to be with your family, and to be with them, to spend time with each individual while you are celebrating your special moments of life. So I would say that I am also like, to touch wood, that I have always client who are I always have client who they want to do intimate weddings, and my most of the clients are actually NRI. So when they are coming to India and they want to like get into that culture, because I think, and that is also where again, connect backs me, where I know both the culture. So someone who's coming from US, who have spent their half life there, but the Indian roots. So when they come here and they wanted, I know what exactly they are looking for. I know what points to touch.
You're in the center of their chaos.
Yeah, and I think I love that. I think chaos is my thing, and I love to manage that chaos. And I think I like this chaos so much that that's why I'm always juggling between one thing to other thing to another. And that's my life. I've accepted it, and I'm very much, happy with this entire niche chaos I have built it for
And
myself.
within this, what is your peace?
Oh my goodness. My piece. So basically, I think I love to travel. Okay, so, but I travel while I work. So, my piece is that, when I really need to feed my brain, feed myself with the new creativity all the time. So my piece is, whenever I am free, I have few girls friends which I'm really blessed with, and they keeps me sane. And I write letters actually. So I'm known for writing letters, and that's something I learned from my American family, that till this date they actually write handwritten letters to me from US to India. And I do that personally, that whenever whatever time I get, I think I send to my friends, my family members, or to my extended family or people I know abroad. I send them letters. If someone died, I will send them the sympathy letter, whom I know, thank you letters. So I love writing letters, and this is something I think, when people, there are very few people who know this thing, who have received the letter from me, and that is one of the thing I really love to do. Whenever I'm free, I will bring out in someone's address, and I will write a letter to that person.
Since we're talking about it, I think Gen Zs, as much as they love chaos, like we just talked about it, we're also control freaks. Because we want things to be crazy. Oh, I threw a crazy party, but I sat down for a week and planned every element of that party to go in one certain way. Do you think that idea with the Gen Z comes out of a place of insecurity, where they're like, yeah, I want to have fun because I want to make it look like it's fun, but at the same time I really need to get into the details of it?
See, I feel that is happening because that is all about the validation, that he did this kind of party, so I have to do it. But who are they to set your standards? I would say if I wanted my way, and I want people to also do that things that way. So I think, and I tell today, like I teach in the university, and I tell my all the students, they are Gen Zs. Okay, I'm always around them. Of course, they are curious, and I like that they're more worried about their self. They're very health conscious and this and that. I love that about it, and I know they have very different kind of questions which we used to have during our time. So I really, really love that. But one thing I always tell them also, that do not pre-decide everything. Do not think that you have to do this because someone else is doing, because this person is doing, because my Instagram has to look like this. Do not fall for that trap. You do it because you want to do it. And I tell them, own your dreams at your own terms. Nobody should teach you what you want to do. Nobody should tell you what you want to do. And the way you are doing it, just first do it for yourself. So I think that ownership right now, still the Gen Zs are not that responsible about taking that ownership, but I think own your dreams at your own terms, where your terms are. Like, that's where I actually learned to live my life, that it's my rules, it's my way, and I will do it the way I want to do it, unless I'm not hurting anybody. Yeah.
Do you think aesthetics are killing joy?
Definitely. Because I hate it when someone wants picture like that and they say, oh, but I do not want this because this doesn't look nice. And sometimes that discomfort is killing you from inside. So I think this race, you see, I love social media. Of course, I love socializing with people. I love taking aesthetic pictures and everything, but not at the cost of what? At not the cost of making my parents uncomfortable for just that one family picture because I wanted to post it on a gram, right? No, that is not true. I think that's where, and that is, I think, the distance we feel between us and our family and your parents.
If you had to redesign one ritual that people have started doing today, what would it be?
I would say that one ritual, if people have to redesign, I think that would be, you should spend more time with your parents. Like, I know after a point we all choose our own life, and this 20 to 35-year-old age gap is such that we are running behind our dreams and things like that. I think that one ritual, that should be a day, like we have Raksha Bandhan, Rakhi Day, we have this day, that day, that one day we are going to our parents and taking a trip with them, or there is that one day that people should go back to their family, because I know that my siblings lives in another country, and that sometimes time flies, and by the time you are capable of doing things, that it's too late to give something to your parents. So I always say that, do not wait for, I will do this when I have this, I will do that when I have that. No, do it right now, put it right now, because you are buying time, and time is not gonna wait for you, not gonna wait for your parents. So do everything, because I see lot of people, I knew a lot of friends that they have certain goals, that I want to do this because I can give it to my parents, but sometimes we can't. So don't put yourself into that box. Just be free, whatever you have, with that I think you can make it most out of it. So I think you should have one day. I want really a day in that entire year, that should be the day with your parents. Whether you are married, then you have parents with your the husband's parents and your real parents and everything. I think that one day, because I know that feeling, that how much I wait for next year to go to US and meet my other family. They both are very close, and I wish that I could stay right by both of them, but something you don't get everything.
Something that really put things into perspective for me was that ये जो निकल रहा है वो time नहीं है, वो जिंदगी है.
Yeah, true.
Which is why it makes complete sense for me to be able to be like, listen, I don't want to wait to live.
Yeah.
I wish I could begin right now.
Yeah.
And considering that you're so open to new experiences, that is exactly who you are. You don't put yourself in one box, which is why I want to ask you a very weird question. Today we've conducted this, we've shot this, you've been in front of the camera for the first time, you're talking only about yourself and not niche by camera. Do you like being behind the camera more, or is this experience something that you're looking forward to from now on, hopefully only with Experiment?
I think I enjoy more creating, so I really like behind the camera. But sometimes I think I love this limelight, because it takes me back to my childhood. So I love this limelight, and I would say, yeah, like it's whatever you do, people see your outside life and they say, wow, you're doing that, you're doing that. But it all comes with its own consequences. You always have to sacrifice something. You always have to, like, leave something to do to get something. So I feel that it's never going to be easy for either Gen Z or either my age people or any age people. The road is never going to be easy, the journey is never going to be easy. If you learn to be with the what is going on right now, you will go for the long run. That stop complaining about this friend has done this, I'm not figuring out this thing. It's okay, it's okay to be that person, it's okay. And to be honest, I'm telling every woman this today also, that follow your dreams, then think about when you will have family, when you will have this. Because once you are capable of your own things, and once you own something on your own, you are not dependent on anything. And today, I think we are getting upset by very small things around us. We get sad with very small thing. But your competition is with the world. You see the world, how it's moving so fast. And so I think people, like, if your friendship is not working out, do not complain about, leave it that way. It's okay to not have friends, it's okay to have two friends. Do not just complain about it. I think live with it, and one day I think you will be very proud of with the person who you are, because you chose, because you made that choice. Now today I don't have any regrets in my life, no regrets, because I tell myself, I ask myself, Kamna, you chose this, why you did this. Once I have answer, I know I'm clear, and that is my choice. If it work out, okay, it's good. If it doesn't work out, okay, it's good, because that was my choice. And every choice has its own consequences which you have to face. It's good or bad, that is very a secondary thing, I would say.
Well, I have nothing to say. I don't think I have anything left to say at this point. I am at a loss of words. I'm sorry. I think that it's beautiful the way that you carry your experiences with yourself, and I'm not just saying this because we've talked about it right now. It shows through you. You're somebody who could walk into a room and inspire people to create, and I think that is what you create. Not your art, not your installations, not your designs. What you create is the will to create in people, and that makes you who you are.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm just taken aback by everything that you just said right now. And for me, if I were to summarize you in one line, as difficult as that may sound, would be me calling you the niche girl. Because it really is that. And that's kind of ironical, because you keep talking about how much you can't define yourself. You can't put yourself in a box. Niche by Kamna is an umbrella. And within that, there's a world of creativity. How did that come to happen?
I think, yeah, this is like niche girl has all started with my niche era, I would say. But yeah, so Niche by Kamna was just the brand name. I wanted to do it. But then when I started doing a lot of things together, I decided that, I need to have a different, brands under that. So idea is that because people, when they ask me what I do, people get confused. So hence there is like, niche wedding started, then niche experience started. And why I give it a name niche? Because whatever I do, it's very different. It's not for everybody. I'm not doing for everyone. It's for a particular people who really understand that creativity, who really understand that area of work. And then I really love to create, and that's why I'm not the person who settle at one place. I always like to keep exploring, and hence there is this different niche under the Niche by Kamna, where I try to give justice to every niches. And under that, I think there are a lot of things happening, but I'm enjoying that everything. And I hope one day Niche by Kamna is the biggest brand, because I think whatever you do, it has to reflect in your personality, and that's what I want to reflect when I walk into the room. And yeah.
And on that note, if there's anything that I want you all to take away from this episode, is that your trajectory does not have to be linear to be progressive. I want all of your listeners to remember that if this episode sparked anything within you, just a fire, maybe being too much is exactly what makes you unstoppable, because every genius out there was just a little crazy in their heads. So if you're somewhere on that range, I think you're doing okay. This was the experiment. Keep questioning. I am your host, Asmi Alok Chaturvedi. Until the next one.